Christmas Eve, 7 years ago. Scrooge and Marley are walking along the streets, cold and icy, both men drunk. Scrooge then finds his way to his place and says to Marley if he's fine making it to his place. Marley tells him that he is and bids him a good night and a bar humbug to this Christmas. Scrooge makes his way back into his flats. As for Marley, he continues staggering on and walking along. As he walks along, absolutely drunk and intoxicated, he slips and hits his head on the pavement curb, cracking it open as blood pours out all over the place. The next day, Scrooge is called into the morgue to identify his body. "Yes, that's him," said Scrooge. "What a shame. He was more drunk than me. I should have been the one to make sure he got home all right. Still, didn't have any relatives or anyone. As do I. Well, I have one nephew, but that's it." "Well, again," said the coroner, "sorry to bring you in on Christmas Day." "Christmas? Who cares about that bloody holiday? Just another holiday to spend. Fuck it." Meanwhile, Jacob Marley woke up in a place. There he saw a blacksmith hammering away. Marley saying, "Excuse me, but where the fuck am I?" The blacksmith, a tall muscular man, said, "These chains you will wear, each loop will represent a person that you've wronged in life, and they will weigh down heavy on you." "What are you talking about?" said Jacob. Then all the chains wrapped on him, wrapping around his ankles and his torso and his wrists, saying, "Wait, what the fuck is going on? Get these things off me." "You have done wrong in life, and as punishment you will wear these chains. The only way you can get them off is if you change the way of your former partner, Ebenezer Scrooge." "What the fuck are you on about, you stupid git?" The blacksmith then disappeared, and Marley was in a cold, frozen wasteland where there was a huge fire. There he saw a woman in a long robe and cloak, throwing things into it. The woman had frizzy, wild hair and white skin. Then Marley began to freeze, his skin getting frosty and cold, saying, "Well, what the fuck's going on? Why do I feel so cold?" The woman by the fire said, "Because, Jacob, you died in the streets and you freezed along the way. You're dead. What are you fucking on about, you stupid bitch? Tell me what the fuck's going on now." "You slipped on the curb and cracked your head open, and then your body freezed. It was a while before someone found you." "Wait, what do you mean I'm dead?" "She's saying you're a ghost." "What? Where the fuck did you come from? As a big fat man with a Christmas jumper and a coat and a woolly hat said, "You're dead, mate. Try to understand that." Then Marley turns around and sees another man, a tall, muscular hobo with a beard and a hood, with the hood hiding the top of his face and the beard showing. He says, "What the fuck are you? Who are you? What's going on? Does this one talk?" "He won't speak to you," said the man, dressed in modern Christmas clothes. "What are you on about, you fat git? That's another thing, another reason why you're here. But you can avoid this fate." "What are you on about?" "Observe." The fat man in modern Christmas clothes then showed Marley where his body was. "Where are we?" "This is the morgue. This is Christmas Day. And this is your body." Marley looked down at his body, seeing that he was lifeless, thinking, No, I'm having a nightmare. All this is a sick, twisted joke. I've had too much to drink." "Yes, you did, and that's why you are where you are now. But you can escape this and cross over to the next part of the afterlife. You're dead. Accept it." "I guess I am." "Oh, no, said Marley. "Why am I here?" "Because you have a chance to redeem yourself in this life. You can still save your friend Scrooge." "What am I meant to do?" said Jacob. "You are to wait 7 Christmases." "What do you mean?" "Wait 7 Christmases, and you will be able to see your friend Scrooge again." "Great, so I've got to wait 7 years in this limbo?" "Not entirely. Time moves very differently here." "Very differently, you say," said Marley. 7 years later, the present day, Ebenezer Scrooge, an old man in his late 60s, walking along with white hair, and his right hand man and assistant, Bob Cratchit. He then says, "Where to next then?" "I believe it's the Mathesons." "Right. Well, they owe us 7 grand, yes?" Scrooge, being it the present day, he works as a loan shark. He then collects possessions if they can't provide money. Even comes across another couple, an elderly couple. "But, Mr. Scrooge, if we have to pay our debt to you now, we won't be able to stay warm. We only just had enough for presents this year." "Well, you shouldn't spend what you can't afford. You owe me 2 grand, and if you can't pay, I'm taking all this goods away. Cratchit, I'm sorry about this." As the day goes by, Scrooge collects and takes possessions of people. As the day comes to an end, Scrooge then says, well, that's another day of collecting goods. Probably sell these in the new year. About tomorrow, Mr. Scrooge. Yes, you're going to ask for the day off, aren't you, as usual? Christmas time. More like a waste of time. Well, it's only once a year, said Cratchit. But could I? Yes, but you better be here. At least working extra hours. Boxing Day and Boxing Day night. If you're taking the day off. Thank you, Mr. Scrooge. Yeah. I guess I'll leave this van with you then, and I'll walk home. Scrooge then walks home. Along the way, he goes into a pub and has a quiet drink. With it being Christmas Eve, everyone is feeling festive and jolly and partying along. That's when a young man approaches him and says, "Thought you'd be here, Uncle." Fred. I guess you're here for your usual question and to check on me. Uncle, we're the only family we have left. And yeah, I'm going to ask you again, even though your answer will probably be the same. Yes, that's right. No, I will not come to your fancy Christmas dinner. Now, sod off. Fine. You know something? You're a very stubborn man, Uncle Ed. And how many times have I fucking told you, don't call me Ed. It's Ebenezer. That's such an old-fashioned name. Yeah, well, it's the name that I was given. Now, what do you want else, Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know, Uncle, just to see you sat at the table and enjoying a good Christmas meal with me and the wife, that'd just be a gift altogether from you. Merry Christmas, Uncle. Yeah, and a bar fucking humbug to you, boy. After finishing his drink, Scrooge then walks home. Walking through the town centre, he sees a homeless man begging and ignores him. He then sees some other people singing Christmas carols and being jolly and happy, with it being Christmas Eve. Scrooge then starts to feel really cold as a blizzard comes in and starts to snow. Wish I'd kept that bloody van now and let Cratchit suffer the cold. Scrooge then walked on in the cold. As he walked on, there Marley was standing across the road. Catching Scrooge's attention, he turned around and looked and saw that no one was there. Thinking he sees something, he continues to walk on home. And as he gets up to the door, there Jacob Marley in his chains with frosted skin stands behind him. Scrooge then feels that there's someone watching. He turns around and Marley is gone. He then puts his key in the door, and on the door knocker he sees a face that says, "Scrooge." Seeing Marley's face on the door, he then says, "Fucking hell," as he almost falls back on the stairs. Then, seeing a group of young men that are absolutely intoxicated and drunk, singing Christmas music, he then turns and looks at the knocker on the door again and that it's normal. He then thinks to himself, I must have been drugged. Opening the door, he walks in, where it's freezing cold and he can see his breath. He walks into the kitchen and turns on the cooker and warms his hands up. A couple of moments later, Scrooge then sits down with a glass of whiskey and a cigarette and smokes as he puts on the TV in the dark room. Flickering through the channels, he then goes, it's the same thing every bloody year. Nothing on, all this Christmas special crap. He then turns the TV off before hearing chain rattling sounds. He then says, who's there? Walking around his house, he sees no one until he hears the chains again and calling out to him, Scrooge. Who is that? Calls out Scrooge. Go away. You hear me? I'm calling the police. He then hears a thump on the door saying, open the door. I'm calling the police. I suggest you leave right now before I get here. Scrooge then goes into the living room to the phone, where he is about to call the police. Grabbing his phone then goes dead and goes, fucking hell, this bloody piece of shit. He then grabs the landline and starts to call, but then the front door bursts open, letting in a cold breeze. Scrooge, grabbing a small stool, then arms himself with it. Staggering in with chains rattling and walking into the living room, Jacob appears and says, is this any way to greet an old friend? The front door then slams closed and Marley makes his way into the living room. He then says, what the fuck? No, said Scrooge. This is not happening. I must have got my drink spiked at the pub. I only had 1 pint. Oh, believe me, Ed, I'm no hallucination. Don't call me Ed. Oh, of course you don't like that, do you? You prefer Scrooge or Ebenezer. Such an old name, that is. Still at the old loan shark thing, I see. You haven't changed much in 7 years. You're not real. This is just a dream. I'm going to wake up in a moment. Trust me, it's not a dream. I am very real. Molly's ghost then goes up to Scrooge and then touches his head. Scrooge then sees everything that Marley has seen, from him being dead to being trapped in limbo. What did you just show me? The hell that I've been through? But I have a chance to redeem all the wrongs that I've done in life. What are you talking about? These chains that I wear, they're heavy. They represent a person that I've wronged in life. And I've been a selfish fucker. I can tell you that much. And the same thing will happen to you. But it's not too late. How long's it been since I died? 7 years ago to this night? Yeah. 7 years for you. 7 months for me. Well, it's felt that way. Time moves very differently in the spirit world. What do you want from me, Jacob? I'm glad you asked. Letting out a sigh, showing his cold breath, he then says, here's what's gonna happen, Ed. Or sorry, Ebenezer. You're gonna get visited by 3 spirits. 3 spirits? What are you on about? You have much to learn, said Marley. Expect the first spirit by the strike of 1. And I will treat these spirits with respect. Hold on. 1 spirit at 1. Why can't they just all come at once and get it done with, whatever this whole drug strip is? Marley then let out a huge scream and blew things around, saying, "This is no dream. Will you get that into your thick skull? I can't cross over or feel any warmth until I change your ways and you avoid the fate that I'm suffering." Now, like I said, expect the first spirit by the strike of 1. And then when that one is done, you'll receive another visit from the second one, then the third one. I don't make the rules here. I'm just delivering the message. Marley then walks up to the window and says, "You know, October 31st and December 24th, Halloween and Christmas Eve, the only 2 nights of the year where the fabric of the living and the dead, the barriers between the 2 worlds, are at their weakest. Come on, see, look outside, Ed." Oh wait, yeah, Ed. You know I don't like being called that, Marley. Yeah, whatever. Just look out the window. Scrooge then looks out the window, and there he sees spirits all around the streets, walking along, flying along, unable to be heard or seen. He then says, "How come I can see them?" "Because this is a night for you. A night where you get to see the dead. I best be getting off. I just hope that you can change your ways and avoid this fucked up fate that I'm going through." "Well, cheerio. Wait, where are you going, Jacob?" "Oh no. Probably back to deliver my message to these spirits." Marley then climbs out the window and flies away. Scrooge then calling out, shouting to Jacob to come back. Then a person, homeless and drunk, walking by, then asks, "Who the fucking hell are you shouting at?" Scrooge then goes, "Piss off." He then shuts his window and closes his curtains. He then puts his television set back on and then says, "Looks like I'm going to have to watch that film again." Pouring himself another whiskey, and lighting a cigarette, he then puts on a DVD and watches another film. Any film is better than a Christmas special. Scrooge then lights a cigarette and starts to smoke. Later, after the film finishes and the DVD menu is playing on a loop, Scrooge sits in his armchair, passed out and asleep, snoring loud. Then the small clock on his fireplace mantel strikes 1. All of a sudden the television goes static and it cuts to Big Ben, the clock tower on the television, striking 1. The sound of the bells then wake up Scrooge. He then looks and sees the DVD menu of the film he watches playing on a loop. He then turns the TV off and then has a good stretch. Then, that is when, in the living room, on the living room door, he sees a light beaming outside the door, and hearing a womanly voice saying, "Scrooge, come inside." Scrooge then says, "Who are you?" "Don't be shy, Ebenezer. Come on in." Scrooge then slowly approaches the door and turns the handle and pulls open the door. As he opens the door, he then is blinded and consumed by the bright light. A womanly voice saying, "Come on in." Scrooge then enters with a cold wind blowing and the bright light. He steps inside, where he goes to meet the first of the free spirits.